Start off with a word of prayer. Father in heaven, thank you for just a wonderful time to study your word and to learn about your temple and your house. And Father, we just pray that it's a blessing to you and that we want to honor you in everything that we do. In Yeshua's name we pray. Amen. All right, so let's start off. We're going to read every week Ezekiel 43, verse 10. It's the foundation of why we're studying this. And I think just every teaching just needs to be repeated. But it says, so we believe Messiah, Yeshua, is the word of the Lord, is speaking to Ezekiel. And he says, you son of man, describe the house of Israel, the 10 tribes, so they'll be ashamed of their iniquities. Let them measure accurately. If they are ashamed of all they have done, sketch out the house, which is a reference to the temple, Jerusalem, for them, its layout, its exits, its entrances, its complete design, with all its ordinance and all its laws. Write it down in the site, so they may observe and complete the design and all its ordinances and do them. This is the tour of the house. The whole territory and the territory around it on top of the mountain will be most holy. Behold, this is the tour of the house. So we're going to go, last week we talked about the front of the temple, the design going into it. So now we're going to go back to what we did. We're going to go back to the cisterns, because I want to build on the cisterns, and then we're going to go back and talk about the side buildings. But there's a method to, not necessarily madness, but there's a method to why we're doing this. But for a purpose of I always like to start off with the bottom line, so we know exactly what we're studying. But the bottom line of this teaching on the cisterns, there was a huge amount of water under the ground below the temple platform. Enough water to support the temple service, thousands of people doing immersions or mikvahs, and enough water for drinking for daily use, and increased volume of people during the feast day, where literally hundreds of thousands would come onto the Temple Mount. And this functioned for nearly 800 years of Israel's presence on the Temple Mount, and it was designed that way. So not only did God provide a way for those cisterns to be there, kings, all the way up to time Hezekiah, dug into the bedrock and created these cisterns. So that's what we're going to kind of get into today. So if you look at this diagram, and I want to keep going back to this every time, the area in yellow is the original Solomon's temple. And under that, you have 16 cisterns that have been numbered by Conrad Schick's numbering system. Keep in mind, with the Palestine Exploration Fund, we found a total of 37 cisterns throughout the whole Temple Mount. But under the Solomon's Temple Mount, there were 16 cisterns inside this yellow area. We're going to look at 5 of them today. One that's in that area, and then one that's in the Hasmonean extension, which is off to your right side. And then what's in green is the extension, or the extension of the platform that Herod had built out. So roughly what you're looking at is an area of about 35 acres of land that they have built a temple on. And underneath it, we have enough water source for the entire thing. So let's start off with this area called the fosse. If you remember, let's go back one. You go back, you see the Hasmonean extension, and over to the, you can see over to the right-hand side, there's the Hasmonean extension would be on the north side. Okay, it's in on that north side. There used to be was a moat. Okay, and on just on that moat before, they built an extension, and that's where they put a fort, and they housed the garrison of soldiers, and this dates back to the time of Solomon they had. Going forward, they further expanded that area. At the time it has Hasmoneans, they filled in all of that area called the fosse, and by the time Herod gets around, they build what's called Fort Antonius. So the very first cistern that we're going to look at, as you can see in the top right, is cistern number 15. It was built during the Hasmonean era. And that one supplied all the water for the Fort Antonius, which would come. So the Roman garrison that would come later, the Greek garrison that was on it, the soldiers that were during the time of the kings, all of that, they got their water from that source right there. And that was excavated. Now, what supplied the water to that were those Solomon pools, remember, that are 9 miles to the south and south and east near Bethlehem. That supplied the water to that. If you remember, if you go back to the beginning, they took from the Solomon pools, and they had 2 routes. One of the routes carried right into the city of David, the aqueduct. The other one into the Temple Mount. And so where it started was up on the top here. Okay? and that's where we see the cistern underneath. Now, why this is so important is because when we get into, well, there's not enough water, or how could you have this big fort, and all these arguments that keep coming in there, well, this is the water and fill the cistern with millions of gallons that provided for the soldiers, the garrisons. You can see right here, see if we can look underneath here real close, it says, Wilson indicated that a cistern was located beneath the early 15th century Sabil Basiri, a cubic structure topped by a dome, which is situated close to the northwest corner of the Haram. This drinking fountain is named after the late century Mamluk superintendent of the two Harams, in Jerusalem and the Haram of Khalil and Hebron, etc., etc., etc. So they named it, and so it was also used, obviously, during the Muslim period. That same cistern was used because they had access to it. It was an open cistern. All right, so just to get an idea, whenever you find these cisterns that have a kidney-shaped look, so remember that diagram that I gave you, that style of cutting it was specific to the Hasmonean period. Any type of kidney-shaped cistern or something that they basically went into the bedrock and dug out. Now, if you can look right there's a water conduit, and that water conduit goes from, all right, so you see where the cistern is, and then that water conduit, which would be just north of it, runs into the cistern, would go out to that aqueduct coming from Solomon Pools, and would fill this up. And so that's one of the first. This is what was important about this is the little cookie crumbs that are being left. This is one of the ones they discovered to understand how Solomon Pools connected to the whole temple structure. And this is the first step to that. All right, you can see here there's a dry cistern that's located near the Golden Gate. The Golden Gate's on the east side of the temple structure. That was cistern number 23. And again, they had a conduit that ran into that one as well. This one was capped off, even to this very day it's capped off. But you can see that was one of the cisterns as well. Let me just read this because it's kind of hard to see in that TV there. But this is described by Wilson in the Ordnance Survey near the Golden Gateway, not visited deep dry on the square shaft entrance to the cistern is shown on Wilson's map in its first edition, connected to a conduit extending in the direction of the Golden Gate. Warren at number 15, cistern near Golden Gate, near Circle. Let's jump on down here. It says, on tracing the northern part of the Haram, 1 by 1500 scale, sent by Warren to Schick, probably in the years 1872, 1873, for him to draw on the plans of the cistern. Schick drew a perfectly round cistern of 5.5 meters in diameter with a square shaft entrance in the ceiling. A conduit was shown descending to the northwest via two round installations marked Cespides in Warren's handwriting, but turning to the south before reaching cistern number 23. So you can see these conduits would run just north of it, and they would all. It's kind of here's basically if you have a pool of water here and a pool of water here, you're going to have cisterns that you're going to have conduits that run on top of it. Okay, and that conduits would fill it up, and then once it reaches the brim, it's completely full. What they do is it would overflow and go into that pathway into the next cistern and continue to fill up. When they wanted it capped off, they had these caps they would put on it. They would open the cap, and they had these wheels, and they would open it up, and it would pull through a suction system and pull the water into the conduit system up to where they needed it. So if you're in a garrison and you have the cistern that was underneath you, you would just basically turn these wheels, and that would provide all the plumbing and water that you needed for that whole garrison. Okay, and that's what we're looking at here. Now, this is cistern number 27. Now, this is kind of interesting. I'm going to read this one. Forgive me for just reading this stuff to you, but as you take a look at it, why these things are so important is, I wish this would work, but it doesn't work on the screen, that you can see where that arrow points to number 27. This would be what we're talking about here. So go back on cistern 23, which is on that same side, would be located just north of that. And then you come down and there would be 27. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you a picture of this, but in the book, Measured Pattern, okay, when you came into the women's court, right, the court of women, and off to the right-hand side, before you went through the Nicanor gate, there was a small gate right near the Nicanor on the right-hand side. When somebody was unclean, they were a leper, and they say, remember when Yeshua healed the 10 lepers? And he said, go see the Levites. They would have to go to this area of the Temple Mount, and they go up to that gate, and then they would be sprinkled with the ashes of the red heifer, and that would process take place there. They would do a mikvah, sprinkle them, and then they'd be able to get basically readmitted into the community. Well, that number 27 sits right below where the leper's gate was, immediately below this. And so why this is so important is as we begin, you're going to start seeing the outline, each one of these cisterns, and we're going to take a look at the temple structure, and you're going to see how each one of these cisterns had a function for a specific purpose. We saw back with number 15, that had to do with where Antonius. This one has to do with the lepers, and then coming into the temple structure here. Now, this is 27, 29, and 30. So if you look at here, there's the building right there to the right. You see this basically your north east side. Okay, just below that, that's where the gate of the lepers would come in. Okay, in the building over to there, that's where they would have all the slaughtering tables. Okay. So you would have literally the cistern that would sit for the lepers they would use for that, and that water would come up for that mikvah and function there. The other one would have enough water in that cistern to take care of all the slaughtering. All the animals that came in there, 100% was taken care of by number 29 and 30. Okay? Now, number 30, you see the design there? And that design, that would have been from the time of Solomon. Okay? What's the difference between the 30 and the 29? Notice the shape. Number 29 is kind of a kidney shape, and so later on that was excavated out, and that would be used in the Hasmonean period. And so 29 and 30 were the cisterns that they used for all the slaughtering of the animals and to clean the entrails and all the process to get, basically, with all that blood and all the animals and everything else, they needed a major water source to wash all of that out. So in this general area, you had 3 cisterns, 27 for the lepers, and 29 and 30, the south and north chamber, and both of those were used for the cleansing of the animals, and that's where it's set under there. It's pretty amazing, okay? Now, so, to get a picture, you see where the dome is, and you see the platform, and notice the entire Temple Mount structure goes all the way up. But on the structure itself, where you see the Dome of the Rock, that would be where the Azarah, that would be the inner courtyard, that's where the main 4 buildings are set up. That was that area, and that's set on top of that. Okay? On the southeast corner of that, you see the wooded area, basically over here, that's where cistern 27, 29, and 30 would sit. Okay? Today, all 3 of those are visible based on them being capped off. So if you walk on the mount today, you could actually see where the cap is, where the conduits would bring it up to the top. They're there as well today. Okay. All right, so you see 29, 30. Okay, and that's the bet. That's the house of the spark. That's where they get the wood, and that's where they had all the tables and stuff for the slaughtering. Number 27 was where the lepers would come in the gate there. And those 3 cisterns sit out there. Now we're going to talk about number 28, which is probably one of the most important ones. And this will be down on the bed of Tinas, and now it's near the Kior. We're talking about that in a minute. But of the ones, you can see one of the things I learned from Joseph Good is that each one of these conduits, these cisterns, right? The cisterns would come up to. Let's go back and look at this. You see this, the foundational structure? Imagine the temple sitting on top of that, okay? Where the inner courtyard, the mizbech, the altar, the holy of holies, the sanctuary, the hakel, all that, where that's set, there would be no cisterns underneath there. They would come up to border them. But you would find cisterns underneath the buildings, okay? So when you look at that, you put the temple on top of that. And then where the temple was, there would be no cisterns underneath it. Now, why that's important is because underneath that had to be clean and pure. Okay. Now, under the buildings, they had high pitted shut, but they had less so than the holy of holies. Okay. All right. Now, there you go. That's a picture of it today. Now, the Muslims call those same conduits Bir es Siwane. Okay? And you notice the kidney-shaped one, and that's right under the House of the Spark. And then you have conduit number 27, which was underneath the building where the lepers would come in. It'll be right there. So you can see how the all. But you know what's important there is all conduits, all plumbing, all cisterns stop at the inner courtyard, the outside. Everything stops right there. And why that's important is because that's one of the main things that's going to lead us to understand exactly where to place the temple on the Temple Mount. That's how when they start running the plumb lines and they start diagramming it out, put the blueprint, and they set that, the third temple, when they set that on top where the Dome of the Rock is, they're going to be able to get it exactly in the right place because of the location of those cisterns that we just showed you. Okay? Really, really important. Probably the most important thing you're going to learn when we discuss the cisterns is these 4 or 5 that we're going to cover today. Okay? Any questions before I go on to the next one? Now, just to kind of get a side view of what you're looking at. Now, notice that you would be, imagine this is the court of the women, okay? And you see how you come up those steps and you go to the Nicanor Gate, right? Now, to the top would be in that doorway where that building is, there's a mikvah up there. There's a mikvah pool for the lepers. Located underneath that cistern, which you've got a side view here. So if you look at that number 27, this is a side view of that with a conduit going up top, and that building set right on top of that. Does that make sense? Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you know how deep that is?
Yeah, let's go back.
Top down?
Yeah, so it's 21 feet from the top down.
Okay.
Okay, and about 21 by 11. And then I think the length of it, I can't remember if we go back here. Let's see if we have it here. Yeah, right there. So it was 72 feet long, the entire length of it. In gallons of water underneath it. The other two would be 9.5 by 22 smaller cisterns. All right, and then you have 26 by 10 feet by 26, and another one, the larger side, would be 60 by 49 by 10. And every single one of them, you notice on the top is that little capstone, that's where it'd be capped off, and that's where you would pull a wheel that would draw the water up to through that conduit.
Yeah, go back to that side.
Oh, the side view?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So theirs is a side view of number 27, and those are side views of 29 and 30. Okay. This is a much larger one that they took care of the lepers as far as lengthwise, but the volume of water was about the same in the three pools. But all 3 of them service that side of the temple, would be basically the north side. Really the north, exactly the north side. Okay. Oops. Why are we doing that? Somebody messing with my mouse over there?
Nobody's touching.
Okay. All right. So let's get to number 28. Okay. Now let's look at here. Number 28 is going to be probably now those 3 that we just mentioned are critical to the story of the lepers, where Yeshua sends the 10 lepers to see the Levite. They're going to come through that. All right. And keep in mind, up to that period of time, during the first temple period and into the second temple period, until Yeshua's coming, there was no record of any leper ever being healed of leprosy other than the Aramean general. I remember his name. Can't think of it right now. But anyway, there's only the record of the Aramean general who was healed of leprosy. Okay, but up to that point, nobody healed and been using as far as record. Now, could it have happened? It's possible. There is actually no record. But when we get into Yeshua, what's also called, when he comes in there, he begins to heal all these lepers. The process of healing them, now they would come up to the temple once they were outside and they do their cleansing, and they would be sprinkled with the ashes of their heifer. Now, number 28 is a real interesting cistern. Okay, if you notice the length of it, I'm going to show you right here. It's 50 on the north end. You can see it's 55 feet long. Okay, 55 north and south. East and west, it runs at 177 feet. Okay, and then it has another T-bar that runs across perpendicular to it, and that's 29 feet on that end. Okay, and then as you can see right here, there is a stairs that goes up and down from that. Real important because they manage this cistern more than any others. Okay, this is one of the most important cisterns on the top on the entire Temple Mount. And you can see at the top, the wheel head is still there, where they were location. So, and they found the grate where the water would come in, it would fill up, flow down through this conduit into the cistern and fill up. And Enrico was saying that when he was there in 2006, there was a massive rainstorm, and all the cisterns filled up and began to flow out into the city. Yeah. So they had to use pumps to get them out, to get all that water out of there. So even with as many thousands of gallons they were able to hold, they still, once they filled up, then they had to have a source of getting it out of there. Okay. So this here, I'm going to read this. It's actually from the bed of Tina's building. It goes 50 feet down. And so that staircase would go all the way down to the bottom. It was pretty, so that's basically like 4.5 stories down. All right, here's another view of the cistern. Is located under the bed of Tina's. Now, what's important about the bed of Tina's? What's known? What's that building? This function of the building, the bed of Tina's. 2 basic things, or 3 actually. The name of Avtinas comes from the Avtinas family because they were responsible for the incense and the recipe of the incense. And they do it once a year, and they bring in there and they supply enough for the function of the temple throughout the whole year. Okay, so where they kept the incense was in this building here. There goes the name Beit, or house of Avtinas, for the house of that family. It's like the house of the Jones or house of the Smiths, Beit Avtinas. The second purpose of that building was that's where the Great Sanhedrin met. So on one side of it was where they kept all the incense, and on the other side would be where they had the Sanhedrin. So the 71 members would meet on a regular basis. Third thing is they had the cure, where they would wash the hands and the feet before they go out into the altar area and work the function of the mizbech. By commandment, they had to wash their hands and feet. So this cistern took care of all that function, okay? And it's set right underneath this building. We'll see here in a minute. But you can see how big this thing is. It's a massive cistern. Okay? So just get a cutaway of this. Now, on the north side is the topographical map. And in the topographical map, you can see the 177 feet running on number 28 right here. You see that? And then you can see that conduit that goes to the top. Okay? It looks like a little pipe. Okay? At the top of the pipe is where they had a wheel. Okay? We're going to read about that in a minute. But that's where they would turn that wheel and it would fill this. So you imagine you got this copper laver, right? And they would turn this wheel and the water would flow into it, into the copper. And then they had 2 portions, one on the bottom for their feet and one on the top for their hands. And that would function for the cleansing the hands and the feet before the priest would go in and work at the temple side. So a cutaway of that specific side is what you can see over there. You can see that would be north, and that would be the location of that cistern. Okay, so just to get an idea of where this, do you see where it says Kotel? Okay, that is the western wall, the Wailing Wall, Kotel. Okay, so if you walked up and put your prayers in the Kotel, the western wall, if you just looked straight up and raised your head, and you didn't have to go but 150, 200 feet, and you would see right there where the cure, where they would do the washing of feet, would be right there on top of Temple Mount. So here's the thing: the next time you go, and if all you do is just go to the wall itself, just keep in mind as you line yourself up, you're going to line yourself up with these buildings. The Beit Otzrot, that means the house of the treasury. Its original name was House of the Trees of Lebanon, and they changed later on to be Beit Otzrot. And Beit Otzrot basically means the house of the treasure. So all the money, the finances, and everything, all the articles and things that they used to function the temple were kept in that building. In the Beit Avtin, as we already explained it. And so that cistern number 28 would sit